Hello everyone, my name is Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is May 31st, 2025. And I believe that the downside target for Bitcoin has been hit. Let me explain. It's not what I expected, but I think it's close enough. So I'm going to explain that. And more importantly, I think that Altseason has officially begun. Okay, so we're going to look into all of that. I believe that today, May 31st, 2025, we should see the beginning of an altcoin decoupling, broadly speaking, where altcoins gain tremendously against Bitcoin in market cap. So if all that sounds interesting, watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into it. Let's start with Bitcoin. So just yesterday, 24 hours ago, I was telling you that my targets for Bitcoin to the downside were at 100K for X, Y, and Z reasons. I gave some really good, convincing reasons based in solid, thoughtful, logical, technical analysis. And today, 24 hours later, we're sitting at 104,000. I think we've reached a low of around 103,200. And I'm telling you that I think that's it. Okay, what gives? Let me explain. First, technical analysis is not an exact science. It is a science. I believe, in my estimation, it's a science. There's ways to go about it, and you can get replicable results. But there is some variability, some error, right? A margin of error to levels, a margin of error to targets, a margin of error to outcomes, right? The outcome was that we come into this region. I thought 100K was going to be the region, but I'm not that surprised that Bitcoin is now showing strength above 100K. Why? Because Bitcoin is the chief cryptocurrency, and it's front-running a target. It's front-running a level. What does that mean? That basically means that before the target, everybody that can read a chart reads, anybody that can read a chart is probably calling for 100K thereabouts. It goes beyond 100K, finds support, and starts moving, all right? That's number one. So that's called front running, all right? Front running a target. And it's very possible. Usually it happens, a few percentage points off of the target because there's so much buying pressure, right? And we talked about the buying pressure in Bitcoin, how, large institutions, governments, big, large whale buyers were buying Bitcoin at the top. People love tops, right? We talked about that two episodes ago. So there's that. Next, it's a downtrend. And it's not a downtrend that ends right where we were at, nor would it have ended at 100K. It's a downtrend that goes down much further. So those targets of 100K are eventually going to be hit. So it's not that important that 100K exactly be hit now. It can be hit later. And I'm going to show you in just a second how it can be hit even within the within the norms, within the movement of this counter correction, because what we're in right now is a counter correction. Okay, a correction to the downside, right? Now a counter correction is going to go up. So I'm going to show you that in a second. So I think that we've found some temporary relief here, okay, at around 103.2 on this chart. But again, you can, because this is a corrective move, you can see something like this, where Bitcoin goes up, down even more, and then back up, right? So the W reversal here can have a right vertex that's lower than the left vertex. You usually see that. and then your target gets hit, but not in the way that you thought it was going to be hit. I've seen that. What you don't want to do in technical analysis or trading is have a target in mind and then not look at what's in front of you, not look at what the chart is telling you in real time, be too stubborn to adjust. You always want to adjust in real time, okay? So that's what I'm seeing. So let's go on the hourly time frame. So on the hourly time frame, I am seeing I'm still seeing resistance here, right? Let's see. So this is the downtrend. What's the definition of a downtrend? A downtrend can be graphically represented by an upper level of resistance that is not being broken through, okay? And actually that was true up until this region, up until this area right here around 103.2. So again, when you look at this, you're like, okay, there was a local downtrend from around 106 down to 103, and then at 103 we broke that in 3 ways. So that to me is telling. It's saying, okay, this downtrend, at least this local downtrend is broken right here, okay? Doesn't necessarily mean we can't go into another downtrend, right? But at the very least, this local downtrend has been broken, okay? So now that we're in counter correction, or we may be in counter correction, I'm still holding out, you know, jury's still out, not 100% sure either way, but likely we are in the counter correction. We're looking at this entire thing to be counter corrected upon, okay? So what we want to do is take our Fibonacci from the top to the bottom here. I would actually go to the bottom here. And I'm not going to get into the weeds as to why. I want to pull this as my orthodox low, but this is the appropriate orthodox low in this scenario, not here. If this is indeed a reversal, it would have to be this, right? A, B, A, B, A, B, and that you form your reversal pattern right here. So you'd have to measure from this area right here. My target for the counter correction is still it's around 107.9 now. So let's put a box up. So around 107.9, right? This phi ratio, this 0.618 to the 0.74. So this is where I expect our counter correction to land, in this area, okay? And I also want to tell you, like, it's corrective price action. The definition of corrective price action, I always say on this channel, is it is unpredictable by definition. It is unpredictable. It is capricious. It does whatever it wants. All we know is that it will eventually manifest in a flavor of 3. So you see this? Something like this. 1, 2, 3. It can go 1, 2, 3. We don't know. We don't know. So we're just looking for something that ultimately ends up in this region with a high degree of probability, and that would be confluent again with the bottom of this bearish reversal pattern, which makes sense, right? You break down from strong support and you retest strong support as resistance before moving on. So that's where I think Bitcoin is at, okay? So that is the analysis for Bitcoin. But again, I think the read on altcoins is actually more salient here. What does this do for altcoins? How does this affect the altcoin space? Well, we were talking yesterday about this Bitcoin dominance chart and how this region right here was very telling, right? Because we are on a larger time frame retesting the bottom of this multi-month rising wedge, and this consolidative region would eventually work out to reversing Bitcoin dominance from up to down, and reversing Bitcoin dominance from up to down gives us our ultimate indicator or indication of an alt season. So right now, I believe we're at the tail end. We're at the top of this consolidation. That's number one, right? The top of the consolidation has to be where the consolidation breaks down from. You don't break down from the top or from the bottom of a channel. You break down from the top, find support at the bottom, retest the middle as resistance, and then you go. So it starts from the top, and we're currently at the top, and we're currently in our pink box, right? Furthermore, if you go on a 4-hourly time frame, I think it's better to read from there. Actually, let's go back to the hourly. Let's read it from here. I'm going to employ some Elliott wave 2 degrees of AB basing and a pivot. I'm seeing, right, an initial break, an initial counter, a secondary break, a secondary counter. I'm waiting for, at the very most, a pivot right here, or we may have already executed that pivot over here. So if this isn't the end of the consolidation, we're really close to it. But it may already be done. It may already be done, because just zooming in here, what we can see is we've got a potential pivot over here, a flat correction, and subsequent to that we have let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 8 candles, 8 red candles down, 8 hourly red candles down, and then about 8 up. Okay, so this may very well be our first impulse to the downside, right? Our wave 1 to the downside. So that's a possibility. I'm not ruling that out. All that to say, we're very, very close to the beginning of alt season. Now, that's not all that I'm resting my analysis on. So two more things why I can say, and I mean, I've been saying alt season's close for months. It's hard to obviously pinpoint exactly, and I know people get frustrated, and I can understand the frustration. I'm also frustrated. That's just the nature of these things. You know, you try your best to really pinpoint it, and you know, one day you get it, and you know, it may have been worth it because you were paying attention, rather than, oh, this is so hard, this is so challenging, it's impossible to estimate, or it's impossible to predict, so I'm just not going to try. You know, I don't really believe in that. In any case, I'm looking at my total 3, you know, which is all of the altcoins minus Bitcoin minus Ethereum. Sorry, all of the altcoins minus Ethereum. So all of the cryptocurrency space minus Bitcoin minus Ethereum. And I talked to you about this matriculation up and out, this sign of strength up and out of our falling wedge, our bear flag, this channel. And it looks like this channel has been maintained. You came and you wicked to the bottom, and you found what is likely support right below the bottom edge here with this daily candle, which gives you your first move up. And I'm looking at my stochastic RSI momentum indicator. It's about a cross bullish on the daily time frame. I think that's it, right? So just looking at this total market cap, total 3 chart, what does that mean for the next move? Well, it's simple, right? Look, you're dealing with a bullish reversal pattern. It doesn't matter what you want to call it. You want to call it a cup and handle, you want to call it an inverse head and shoulders. I don't know. It's a bullish reversal pattern. It has 3 touch points. This is clearly the neckline. You broke out, you retested. The target is the height of this bullish reversal pattern superimposed from the site of breakout, right? Which is about here. It's about, more or less, which is more likely going to be the midline of this 500-day green channel. So in the aggregate, if I'm just looking at this total 3 and I'm giving credence to this bullish reversal green candle, this hammer candle, this bullish green candle at the bottom support of our sign of strength, right? This sign of strength that we've been in, zigzagging up and down for the past 50 days, I think that the first target for altcoins on the total 3 chart is a 40% move to the midline of our 500-day channel. And the midline, remember, is going to be resistance when you're below it. So that's what I think the first target of altcoins is in the aggregate. Again, some altcoins may do 120%, 3 times that. Some may do a little less, 35, 30%. But that's what I'm seeing based on this chart. Let's go to a specific altcoin to round out this analysis. And I'm going to use the rest of my time today to update client targets. So guys, don't worry. I'm going to work on that for the rest of today. Let's look at what I believe in my mind should be the front runners. If I'm correct, we should have some altcoins that are front running Altseason, like the big names, like a Cardano or a Litecoin. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go to Cardano first, and I'm going to look, and I'm going to identify, or try my best to identify, bullish reversal here, okay? And again, I'm looking at Cardano putting through some sort of sign of strength, right, out of this mini channel right here. And it's coming in and out and came back down. And it's not perfect, as you can see. But again, you wicked beyond the support level. But today you're showing super strength with this candle. And my stochastic RSI momentum indicators also showing a cross bullish. So basically, by the end of the day, if the uptrend continues past a certain point, those K and D lines are going to cross bullish. So it is looking, just on the daily time frame, looking at this chart, like this is likely to proceed and continue up and out of the SOS, and finally to the top, to the next logical resistance, which is the top of this larger channel. So just like, just doing an eye test on the movers, because when we're talking about Altseason, you don't have an Altseason without the big movers. Ethereum is currently not in a position to be one of your big movers because it's already run. So I'm going to look to the next, big players that haven't run, that are on support, like Cardano, like Litecoin. That's why I'm going to look at Litecoin next. And I'm going to round out the analysis with that. Litecoin. All right, what are we doing here? Same deal. We're putting in a move where you're coming out of this falling wedge. You broke out, retested, and it's kind of the same sign of strength idea. You're putting a rising, broadening wedge in, and you broke down a little much from this pattern, but you didn't completely lose it, right? You broke down at the bottom of it, and now this daily candle is telling you that, oh, this is not over. Okay, another way to look at this is an inverse head and shoulders right here, breakout retest. So for me, I like that next move being the height of this inverse head and shoulders superimposed from the side of breakout, and it's probably going to overrun that target, that technical target, to to the top of this purple channel. So I'm just looking, this is how I'm doing my analysis. I'm looking at a number of things, but like, you know, looking at the big movers. If this indeed is the beginning of altcoin today, May 31st, 2025, and we're going to get double-digit gainers in altcoins, you're not going to have that if your Litecoins and your Cardanos aren't giving you that, given that they're big name, top 10, top 20, top 30 altcoins that are on support, right? So I want to look at those, and if those also give me bullish indication, I have more confidence to say, okay, the rest of the market is likely to follow as well, given my analysis on the total 3, given my analysis on the Bitcoin dominant chart, given my analysis on what Bitcoin's doing, and Bitcoin now being in counter correction, which is what we initially postulated, that the counter correction that Bitcoin was going to perform. Let's go back to the hourly. Okay. The counter correction that Bitcoin was going to perform was going to be the beginning of Altseason. We said that weeks ago. And why did we say that? Well, because we weren't really getting anything here. And it was apparent that Bitcoin would lose this level first, and altcoins will not have had the chance to run. Whatever happens, my analysis has always been altcoins have to run before this happens, because this is going to be much too large of a declension, much too large of a fall, much too large of a retracement for altcoins to survive if they don't first move off of their multi-year levels of support. So I said the last chance, and it has to be with a very high degree of probability that altcoins find their way up and out of their multi-year levels of support as the first move of Altseason once Bitcoin goes into counter correction after that first initial modest move down into its retracement down to the 60-70 level. And that's exactly what we're getting in my estimation. Guys, hope this was helpful. Hope this was useful. Like, share, and subscribe if you got value. Consider buying me a coffee, i.e. tipping me by Venmo, Litecoin, Cash App, all at the pinned comment below. And do consider my crypto membership portfolio and consultation service. Crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service. The name's too damn long, so I can never remember it faithfully. In any case, I go one-on-one with you for up to 2 hours every month, and I help you choose up to 5 altcoins that are going to moon and actually give sustained bullish targets in the bull market, and I help you identify levels to sell and levels to buy on a monthly basis. That's all at the pinned comment below. Guys, hope this was helpful. Hope we get a pump as predicted, and I will see you
fork in the road could turn back, repeat the same story, or march forward and embrace change and reflect upon his glory. I'm a selfish man, therein lies the whole problem, torn between my actions and the will of my heart. I had to take it all apart to see where I stood as a man, to depart from this world and leave it in his hands. Come on. Looks like I'm heading for the gold, y'all. Touring on a pothole road, y'all. I get it even if I didn't fit in, winning right up to the end, like I didn't even know, y'all. I have Pop's genetics, working hard never to get it, like shit or better. Don't letting life get the best of my efforts. Instead I dedicated to bettering my steps, measuring investments, watch me do it to the death, y'all.